Chairman, I think it's insane that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues.
Mr. Donalds,
we were from the Third Reich. This is insane.
You're going to look at 14, 15-year-olds as a bunch of criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and all of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold myself accountable.
This is one of the most explosive moments we've seen in Congress all year. Rashida Tlaib thought she could lecture the entire committee with her usual grandstanding. But then Congressman Bryon Donalds stepped in, and what happened next completely dismantled her entire narrative. If you care about law, order, and exposing political theater for what it is, you need to see this.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Tlaib from Michigan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think it's really important. I mean, we're talking about, 700,000 people that live here, and I feel like their voice gets completely just dismissed. And so, if I may, Mr. Chair, ask unanimous consent to enter the record the Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found 8 out of 8 in 10 opposed Trump's taking over of their local police and sending in federal troops.
Without objections ordered.
I think it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way, in a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here, too. And so I just want to bring the D.C. residents into this committee, because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city, and it's despicable in a way that I feel like really goes up against our values. One of the things that I know in every abuse of power that we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear apart our communities. Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away?
No.
You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is so... no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, when we see, again, the lack or dismissiveness of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C., and, I'm just curious. Criminalize children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families in Washington, D.C.
We'll start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected Attorney General.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an Attorney General is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions and slumlords, seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to D.C. residents, because I am accountable to them.
I read wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. There's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. I mean, the way, it's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, you know, I don't know, Mr. Jackson, I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into, I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house, don't move, don't go anywhere, stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C., Home Rule was one out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights, we can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process. We're not attacking people here. And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady yield?
No, I don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but
Tlaib,
Mr. Chair,
nice.
but you all live
like
here,
Mr.
and
Tlaib.
you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's
Tlaib.
capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's
Wrong.
insane that the
But you're gonna
gentlelady
look
doesn't
at
have an
the
argument, but she's going to
Washington,
refer
D.C.
to
as a
me
bunch
and some of
of
my
criminals.
colleagues.
Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Donalds.
We were from the
you know
Third
this.
Reich. This is
You're
insane.
gonna look at 14,
It's insane.
15-year-olds as
It's
a bunch of
insane.
criminals?
It's insane.
Oh.
Do
you're
I look
not
like a
insane,
member of the Third
Donald.
Reich to you, Ms.
Please,
Tlaib?
please,
Is that what I look like
please.
to you?
You're the one taking your voting
Is that what you
card,
think?
giving it
Is that
to
what you
somebody,
think?
committing
Is that
a
what you
crime.
think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and all of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Mr. Tlaib.
Washington,
Hold
D.C.
your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about
Tlaib.
that?
Free D.C. and make sure you
All right.
vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody
Ms.
else.
Tlaib. All right, time. Chair recognizes Ms. Bobert from Colorado. Wait a minute, Ms. Bobert. All right.
Before
I
we
see it
dive
already,
into
the
this
brutality of
unbelievable
it.
exchange,
When we see
make sure
housing
you like this
costs go
video,
up, when we see,
subscribe to the
again,
channel,
the
and
lack
hit the
or
notification bell so you never miss a
dismissiveness of the mental
breakdown of
health
the
crisis
political
that we
chaos
continue to grow
happening in
and
Washington.
it's not just this
All right,
administration, and the
let's
previous
get into
administrations
it.
as well.
What we watched
No
today
one
was a
has moved with
perfect
the
example
urgency
of
that
why
is needed.
Americans are fed up with the radical left
Just
using
last week,
emotion,
the
distortion,
committee
and
approved
outright
over a dozen
falsehoods to
bills
score political points instead of
regarding
solving real
Washington,
problems.
D.C. And
Rashida Tlaib took the microphone
I'm just
and
curious.
immediately turned a
criminalized
serious
children.
congressional
My colleague
discussion
from,
into one of her familiar
Boston
rants.
talked about this.
Instead of addressing the
It
issues at hand, she
basically
painted the
interfered
entire
with
conversation
legislation
as
already
some
passed
sort of
by the
moral attack on
local,
Washington, D.C.,
government.
portraying
Was
it as an
anyone on
oppressed
this
utopia
panel
under siege by
consulted?
conservatives.
Any of you?
She
Raise
claimed
your hand if you
anyone
were
criticizing the
consulted on
chaos
any
in
of
the
these
nation's
bills.
capital was somehow defaming the city.
We were not.
But the reality is simple.
You know, one of the things that,
cannot fix a problem
AG,
you refuse
I've been
to
listening to
acknowledge.
you.
Violent
one of the
crime
bills
has
actually
risen.
eliminates your position
Businesses
completely.
struggle. Residents
what
don't
effect
feel
would that
safe.
have? I mean,
and instead of
completely
confronting
eliminating
facts,
your
Tlaib blamed
position in
everyone
regards to
except
be
the
able
people
to
actually
do the job that
responsible
you
for
do
policy failures.
to protecting all the
Then
families
she
in
pivoted to
Washington,
homelessness,
D.C.
mental
We'll start
health,
with the fact
housing
that
affordability,
more than 70%
and said these issues
of,
cannot be
the
policed.
residents of the District of
No one
Columbia
disputes
overwhelmingly
that.
voted for
But the
having
left
an
continues to
independent
block
elected attorney
every
general.
accountability
That's right.
measure,
And that's a
every law
recognition
and
of the
order
fact that
reform,
when an attorney
and
general
every
is
attempt
directly
to empower
accountable to the
local
people,
enforcement.
directly
You
responsive to
cannot
the
solve a
people,
crisis
we are much
when
better at doing
ideologues
our
refuse
job
to
in terms
enforce
of addressing
basic standards
housing
of safety.
affordability and conditions
Then she
in
tried
slum
to score
wards.
political points by
Seniors and
complaining that
consumers are
Congress
being
was
scammed.
overriding local
Addressing
D.C.
issues
decisions.
that are most
But when she
important
was
to DC
asked whether
residents,
any of the
because
actual
I am
D.C.
Yeah, I
leaders
read,
had been
I read
consulted
wage
on the
theft
bill
is
she
an
was
issue,
defending,
workplace
not a
discrimination. I
single
mean, there's a
hand
number
went
of
up.
issues that need
Not
to be
one.
addressed. And they're
Her
not
entire
gonna- they're
narrative
not gonna
collapsed
address that.
right there.
They want to paint
And then
you
we
all
arrived at the
as
moment
this
that lit the
ugly,
room on fire.
dark,
Tlaib
all
escalated
just
dramatically,
out in the street. I mean, the
accusing
way-
her colleagues of essentially supporting what
it's
she
just
called a
unbelievable
fascist
because they all live
takeover.
here.
The
I don't
rhetoric
see
was
it.
reckless, dangerous,
see what they
and
see. I don't
completely
understand
detached from reality.
why we're allowing
and that's
that
when
to happen, because
Congressman
I
Bryon
actually
Donalds
think
jumped in.
it's going to hurt
His
our communities.
response
People
was
are
the
going to
moment
look
the
at
whole
Washington,
hearing
D.C. folks
shifted.
in a way that
Donalds made it
I think
crystal
is going
clear
to be
that
very
comparing
painful,
members
but
of
also,
Congress to fascists
you know,
or implying they are
I
part
don't
of some
know, Mr.
oppressive
Jackson,
regime
I heard
is
the
not only
stories.
insulting
People
but
didn't leave their
irresponsible.
homes.
He
They weren't leaving
dismantled
their
her
homes.
argument
Businesses
point by
didn't see
point.
people coming into.
He
I mean,
exposed how
that's
absurd it
what
was
we
to
want in our
weaponize
nation's
historical
capital.
atrocities
Stay
just
in your
to win a
house.
political
Don't
argument.
move. Don't go anywhere.
He made it
Stay
clear that
fearful.
conservatives are pushing
It's
for
unbelievable that my
accountability,
colleagues
not
continue again
authoritarianism.
to
And the best part,
eject this
Tlaib couldn't even
narrative
respond with
and this
substance.
rhetoric.
She refused to yield,
regards to,
refused
but
to answer
I
questions,
think it's important,
refused
Mr.
to
Chair,
engage.
just like
The
in
moment
D.C.
she
Home
was
Rule was
challenged
one
with
out
facts
of
instead of applause
black
lines,
freedom struggle
her argument
in the fight for
completely
civil
unraveled.
rights. We can't
This is
be
why
passive
Americans
right now.
are exhausted
so
with
nobody
this
over
kind
there
of
should
politics.
take anything we say seriously,
Emotion over
like
facts,
so personally,
outrage
as if we're
over
attacking them. No,
accountability,
we're attacking a
division
process,
over
not attacking
solutions.
people here.
And
I
Bryon
think it's really
Donalds
important. We
highlighted
need to
what
stand
every
up against
patriot
this.
already knows. If the left
Fascist
cannot win on
takeover,
results,
that's not a bad word.
they resort
It's
to
a
name-calling
fact.
and dramatics.
And
if you want
here in
leadership
D.C. and
that
across the
stands up for
country,
truth,
it is so
calls out
incredibly
political
important,
manipulation,
Mr. Chair,
and refuses
that
to
this
bow to
committee
intimidation,
does not allow
you saw it
rhetoric
today from Congressman
that
Donalds.
defames
Make
and-
sure you
or
subscribe for more breakdowns,
paints
because the fight
Washington,
for
D.C.
common
in a
sense in
way
Washington
that
is
you
far
all
from over,
haven't really
and
truly
someone
seen.
has to expose
You're just
what
reading
actually
it. No,
happens
you're just
behind
reading
these
it or something
microphones.
off of some